Welcome to FinanceFeeds podcasts. FinanceFeeds is the world's premier interactive Forex industry news source, providing the latest insights and current affairs from within the online trading industry worldwide. Enjoy our latest podcast episode. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to FinanceFeeds podcasts. This is episode 27. My name is Nikolai Isayev. Joining me today on the show is Opal Yang, who is founder and CEO of New Direction Solutions. Opal, welcome and thanks for joining us on our podcast today.
Thank you, Nicolai. It's my pleasure to be here.
Opal, I wanted to start right away and say, in reviewing your professional background, I would consider you an expert on the FX and CFD industry for the Asia region. For our listeners who may not be familiar with you and New Direction Solutions, can you tell our listeners a little bit about what you do today and who can benefit from your services?
Sure. Everyone who is listening to this podcast, my name is Opal Yang. I run a consultancy company, New Direction Solution in London. We provide services in broker licensing, merger and acquisitions, fintech startup consultation, and project management. We are also partnering with brokers and asset managers as an introducing broker. In this role, we connect both retail and high net worth clients to trustworthy entities. We assist them to find the best brokers and also resolve the disputes, or furthermore, dealing with the complaints or compensations when it's necessary. We specialize in Chinese-speaking market. Our vision and the main goal is to be the bridge connecting the Far East and Europe.
Great. And Opal, when you say that you assist with resolving disputes and complaints, is that complaints between high net worth traders and their brokerages or between brokerages and fintech companies? Can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Yeah, it's more for the retail because it's more happening in retail clients and the brokers. And I have experienced dispute the issues between them being the mediator. And also when there's things we can't resolve, I also help them with the complaint procedure, like towards a broker or to the regulators like FCA, SISIC. And we also have helped the brokers went bankrupt, help them with the compensation scheme in the UK.
Great. I think it's very important.
Yeah.
Asia is quite a big region, and there are differences in the way brokers operate in each country, as well as differences in how traders approach trading and investing. Can you give us some insights into which countries in the region you see brokers focusing on today in terms of retail business? And what are some of the most important and popular features that Asian traders are looking for today?
Yeah. Asia is a very big region and the traders' behaviors and choices are very different. Depends on the local financial regulators and obviously culture and even GDPs, etc. I won't be able to talk too much about countries like Thailand, Vietnam, for example. I'll talk more about the markets I'm the most familiar with, the Chinese-speaking countries like China, Taiwan, and Hong Kong. So the most important popular features for the Chinese traders, I would say that the similar features of this market is very heavily depends on the relationships. It's important for Chinese clients to have personalized relationships when they choose the platform to trade. It's very unlikely, I would say, for the clients to sign up and deposit only from the online advertisements. So the IB partners and the language dedicated account managers are especially important. So in general, I think like other regions, but especially for Chinese regions, the IBs provides services like trading coach, EAs, and money managers. And in China, I think the money managers is the most popular one, like the ones that generate the most revenue, bring the most clients. As the result, the money managers could actually just decide which brokers to go for, regardless the license, spreads, etc. different case in Taiwan, the most popular way to bring clients, it used to be EAs, but in recent years, it moves towards the trading education as the local regulator, FSC, has made trading Forex on behalf of the clients without local asset management license
Mm-hmm.
illegal. So, but funny enough, EA is included as well. So providing EA, also giving most data, is actually illegal.
Mm-hmm.
So the biggest IB now in Taiwan is switched to trading education. And for in that case, they will focus a bit more in education, educate the traders to select the brokers in fund safety as well. And in this case, it's similar with the Hong Kong. In Hong Kong, apart from the trading education, there are a lot more independent traders. So they are more able to do the research independently, research online to find the fund safety that's more linked to do with the license. And obviously they will want the low cost, so low spreads and higher leverage. Those features are important for the traders there.
Mm-hmm. Interesting, very interesting. I wanted to ask about prop trading because prop trading is becoming very popular at the moment in other regions. And I wanted to ask, are brokers and traders
Yeah,
experiencing a similar phenomenon in Asia right
yeah.
now?
Yeah, it's a great question. Actually, I'm doing a lot of research and I participate, with the IBs and we talk about this a lot more. And I also get some IBs are interested to set up their own province in Asia. But in this case, I haven't found like such a big phenomenon like in whereas here in the UK and America, like English speaking countries. I think in Chinese speaking market is not yet that popular. I I think it start getting people talking about it, but yeah, the participants is not yet that much. I think first of all, it's quite different target clients, right? So for forex brokers, it can be almost anyone who is interested in investing, or even rather gambling. They can be, like just run the EAs, copy trades, or they can pay the money managers for them to trade for them. So those no efforts putting on starting trading forex, that kind of clients are also the broker's clients. While funded traders, they do need to put more efforts. They need to have more ambitions, dedications, and really put time to educate themselves and to trade. So they are more for the real traders. So it filtered out a big percentage of the people who doesn't want to spend time and effort to trade, just want to use the EAs or pay the money managers. So I think that a big percentage of them were filtered out.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one reason. I think secondly, as I said earlier, in the Chinese market is heavily rely on the IBs promoting them. So in the traditional forex brokerage IBs, if they promote prop trading, actually they they are less motivated because they get less
Mm-hmm.
pay. For example, for a client spent $1,000 to buy the prop fund challenge, the affiliates they get less than $100. While the clients, if they deposit $1,000 to trade, I mean, of course, it depends on how they trade, clients' positions and risk, and how they trade. But I would say, in average, the IBs could get 500 to 1,000, even more.
Mm-hmm.
So in this case, for the IBs, they are really a lot less motivated to promote prop trading. However, I think it doesn't mean that prop trading won't get popular in the Chinese market, because I do see it's getting more popular, and instead of people put their own money in risk, they start having the ideas that, oh, if I pass the challenge, I can trade without the risk. It's a prop firm's risk. So I could see that, and also I could see the prop trading companies can cover the market, the brokers don't cover. For example, the younger generation, the younger, dedicated, skilled traders, but don't have much fun to trade. And also, funny enough, I see more female traders are more interested in prop trading. I think it's a psychology and mentality of female traders. They are less risky, but I think if they have the skills, they would use the prop money to trade. So yeah, I think it will bring like a new dynamic of the client base. Yeah, that's the Chinese market. However, it's already very popular in some of the South Asian countries. I spoke to some of my old colleagues cover Southeast Asia, and the feedback I get is like, yeah, because the GDPs are lower, they get, for them to have the savings to trade, maybe they would the radar to be familiar with the trading skills and having this money to pay the challenge and having the bigger fund to trade. So mentality is quite different there. As for the Chinese market, I think at the time being not yet that popular, but I see the trend is coming.
When thinking about Asia, really for me, China is the big elephant in the room, as they say. And I was wondering, what kind of insights can you share about brokers who service Chinese clients today? I know for some people that's sometimes some sort of like taboo topic, but I feel like we can discuss it here.
Yeah, it's quite tricky doing forex broker business in China. I think most of the brokers are all aware. It's funny because you could see some of the biggest forex exports and a lot of finance and investment foreign and media is talking about forex trading, but it's actually illegal to run this business and services in China. So definitely for the brokers, no local offices in China. But I think because as I mentioned earlier as well, the IB and the account manager relationship is also important. So I see the brokers, they are aware not to set up the local offices, but I think a few of them twist a bit. They could set up the companies, a separate company with a different names to do customer service or marketing, and then working with the brokers using the service contract. If there's no complaints towards it, if there's no complaints from the clients, actually know somebody and bringing those authorities or the police actually go to the companies. I think it is doable, but obviously to avoid the risk, it's still better to run the business outside of China. I see it's recently big trend, and I actually visit myself in Dubai. It's a trend to set up the offices in Dubai to promote the Chinese market. Obviously, you can cover other markets in Dubai as well. So in that case, I see it doesn't only cover the local Chinese market, because even in Dubai, I see a lot of Chinese business. I see a big presence of the businessmen or investors from China in Dubai. So I think it's a good strategy to set up the company or office in Dubai to cover the Chinese market as well as develop the local Dubai Chinese market. So I think that's something I see what the brokers can do, and a lot of brokers already participate the chain.
I wanted to actually ask you. I think you bring up a good point. I mean, there's mainland China as a country, but then there's also many Chinese speakers outside of mainland China spread across the whole world, right? There are
Exactly, yeah.
there's a very big Chinese population here in the United States, obviously in Europe as well, and then in other Asian countries in the Asia region outside of China. I was wondering, do you see any kind of shift in terms of the popularity of trading services, whether it's direct trading services where the client is trading themselves, or if it's money managers? Do you see any kind of shift between the popularity rising for Chinese speakers, across the world or in other regions outside
Yeah.
of mainland China? And can you comment on that?
Yeah, I do. So it was from Hong Kong they use as a hub of forex trading for the Chinese speakers. But now as Hong Kong now is more strict, covering by Chinese law. So it shifted to Singapore. And in Singapore, it is also because the local regulation also quite strict. And now I see a big trend to shift to Dubai actually. So that's exactly what I did the research on it. I went to visit myself, and I did see the trend. I did see that a lot of actual business and the investors went to Dubai instead of before. They were more in other Asian countries like Hong Kong and Singapore. And really funny thing in Dubai, I I can a little bit get by speaking Chinese. So it's getting bigger, the Chinese communities there.
That's very interesting. I mean, I've been to Dubai numerous times for work in our industry, and with I would say the migration of people going on, you hear a lot of Russian language in Dubai now. Obviously,
Oh,
you
yes,
hear
yeah,
you
as
hear also
well.
Hebrew. There are a lot of Jewish people that are now in Dubai, and now we have also Chinese speakers. Whether it's
Yeah.
brokers and businesses or traders, investors, businessmen, and things like that. So that's very interesting.
Yeah, I'm actually worried a bit for our positions in London
Hmm.
here. Like a lot of headquarters of Forex business moved to
Uh huh.
Dubai, and I'm actually looking into the options. Like, if that was an option for me as well, but I don't know. For my partners and my son is too hard.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So yeah.
I wanted to ask, go back a little bit. We spoke about mainland China and how brokers can and can't operate there, but I wanted to ask, and I think you already alluded to this. It's my understanding that traditionally, or in years past, there have been companies that operated in China. Obviously, with the new realities, things have shifted. There are quite a few brokers who may have started their business in China, but are now expanding globally, for example. And I think you have some, I
Yeah.
think you have some expertise with clients on this, and maybe you could share some feedback.
Yeah, exactly. For my consultancy company, we do also assist some of them to get the offshore license, or even SISIC license. So a few of them are doing very well now. Good for them. I'm happy to see the globalization is not only going one way. So in the past, it would be more like non-Chinese to go to the Chinese market, and now some Chinese owners who have good backgrounds and trustworthy and well having good management skills also get into the market globally. So I think it's a good thing. It's a good thing, and I'm happy to help some of these clients to regulate it in multi regions to go globally as
Hmm.
well.
Great. Opal, I think you will agree that there has been much consolidation in our industry over the last 10, 15 years. And I wonder, what are your thoughts on the retail industry in Asia going forward? Is there a market for many brokers to operate, or can we expect consolidation following times of, for example, low price volatility or revenues? Because historically, that's what we've seen, right? What are you
Yeah.
saying in the Asia region, and what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, definitely. I think the world doesn't need that many voice brokers, actually. The regulations is stricter even in the offshore islands now. And traders are more aware of fund safeties, and they don't want the small or unregulated brokers. So I also see the signs of more merger and acquisitions happening. The larger companies are dominating the industry and the market. So I see that coming. Yeah.
And do you think that regulation in the local jurisdictions there in Asia plays a major role in this as well, outside of like trading revenues and trading volumes and market activity?
Let's take the market I'm the most familiar with. So in Taiwan, now the local authority, local regulator, FSC, they see like, oh, the trend of forex tradings, and they see, okay, the money were going out. So right now there's like a regulation specifically for forex industry. At the moment, they have 4 licenses given to the local financial institutions to run this business. So obviously the regulators don't want the money, these business is always being brought out to the other countries, the revenues as well. So they're trying to keep it internally. So yeah, that I think that also affect the market.
Mhm.
Exactly.
And I would venture to guess that, again, when there are either new regulations that didn't exist before or when regulations expand in specific countries, that just adds to the expenses, the operational expenses of a broker to make sure that they have the documentation that they need, they go through any checks that they need to go through with the regulator, right, on a, I don't know, quarterly or annual basis. And so in terms of your operating profits and your expenses, traditionally, I see those expenses go up. And for some companies, unfortunately, you reach a situation where it just does not make sense to continue business in that particular country or in that particular jurisdiction or with that particular license. I mean, I see this happening today outside of Asia in let's say the European markets, where some brokers are
Yeah.
deciding to cancel a license in a particular country and move somewhere else.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's exactly the case.
Hmm. Interesting. Opal, my last questions are usually quite humorous. I try to ask a little bit of personal questions, and I know you've lived in the UK for over 10 years now, and I wanted to get
Yeah, 15
15. It's been
years.
15.
That's quick.
Very quick, right?
Time
Time flies.
flies.
I
Yeah.
wanted to get your impressions on living and working there, both as an immigrant from Asia and as a professional, in our industry. I think you alluded a little bit already. You're like, I'm in London. I'm seeing business go going to Dubai.
Yeah.
Is the UK still the major financial center that it historically was? And kind of, what are your impressions as an Asian woman living in the UK for 15 years?
I think luckily there's a gap, for me being Taiwanese financial professional in the UK, because as I mentioned earlier, my company and myself, the role is to connect Asia, Far East Asia, and European countries. So yeah, luckily it's still where the gap where I allowed me to be here. So I think I always like Euro. I love London, so that's why I moved here. I started my financial services career quite long ago. It was 20 years ago now. Oh my god. And I was in like personal banking, and I found like I need to progress myself more. So I moved to the UK to study banking and finance. I had my MBA banking and finance in 2004, and I see the diversity, lifestyle, especially this the life work
Hmm.
balance.
Hmm. Hmm.
In fact, in I don't think in London is not the typical the most life work balance compared to a lot of places in Europe. But compared to Taiwan, China, and Hong Kong, in those countries, I think it will consider a bit more relaxed, a bit more like finding the balance. So I was envious. I was like really looking forward to see how it is if I can work and live in Europe, in particularly in London, because it's like the central of the finance world. So I actually literally try my best. After I finished my study, my MBA, I went back to Taiwan. I was in the European company, European asset management company, European banks. And I find all the chances I could. If there's a business trip, conferences, sales meetings in Europe, I'm always like me, always fighting to go. And yeah, I did all got these chances, and really luckily also, I mean, I fought for it. I got tier 1 general visa, which is a highly skilled migration visa. So I moved to London, and then it is the fight towards like, oh, to get a job, to be in this position. At first it's hard. It is hard because At first, I thought, oh, I had good experiences working in the European banks in Taiwan, Hong Kong, and China. I used to work in those countries, having different sectors like asset managers, banks, and I thought wouldn't be that difficult to find a job. But when I came, it was right after the financial crisis, and I couldn't find a job like for 7 months. And in the end, I found like I had to find a niche, which is I think at first I was looking for a job in general in financial services. And in the end, I decided I have to focus on the niche to be like Chinese speaker in London. Like, what can I do? I'm a Chinese speaker. I know a bit of investment, a bit of finance. So I got a job in the voice brokers. That's when everybody wants to develop the Chinese market in 2012. Yeah, it was at the time it was the top of the Chinese market in forex. So luckily, I started to develop this market, and now I am a consultant. I don't work specific for one company. I consult with a lot of companies, and also in the view of provide the good services for the clients when they are choosing the brokers or investments abroad. So yeah, luckily there's a market there, and if there are people from any other countries working in London, I think there's always focus on the niche, and there's always opportunities.
Thank you for giving us those insights. I guess, Opal, the last thing I wanted to ask you is some of our articles, interviews, podcasts this year are focused on women in the industry. We have an entire separate section on FinanceFeeds dedicated to women. Considering your experience, which you have a lot of working in the UK and studying in the UK and also working and living in Taiwan and in Asia, there's quite a few Asian women that, for example, I know or who are my acquaintances within the industry that work for brokers, they work for fintech companies within the industry. I'm sure you also know many of them as well in your day-to-day work. I was wondering, as the last question, is there any suggestions that you can give them broadly in terms of them possibly thinking about advancing their career, or perhaps those women who might be thinking, I want to start my own business. Right now, I'm working at a fintech company or I'm working at a forex broker, but I have my own ideas. I want to explore starting my own company. Because you went through this experience, maybe there's very quickly, if you could, maybe you have some suggestions, broad suggestions that you can give them.
In fact, if there's the chance to give people this advice, because I think for our background, like Asian women particularly, we are quite reserved in terms of to ask in our career. I wouldn't think I'm a businesswoman now if I say 10 years ago, I wouldn't think that I had my own business and actually is spending a little bit like it's actually quite good at the moment. So I think because our mentality would usually be more conservative. Not, for example, we don't ask for the pay rise. Mostly we don't get really like actively ask for the pay rise. We don't start thinking about having our own business. In fact, I wouldn't. If it wasn't because a broker I worked for before didn't pay my clients' withdrawals, that made me think to stand on clients' position. It is actually better to have more choices. As we always say, you don't put eggs in the same basket, right? So as an outside consultant, I can divide it, to different brokers, investment in different places. So if it wasn't something really happened in my career, I wouldn't have thought to, okay, I just quit my job and I start my own business. But after I started, well, yes, there were up and downs, but yeah, that's the best choice I made in my career, actually, to be able to put my thought into practice. The ideas I don't have to go through like the managements after managements to get approval. I have ideas and I just do it. So I'm quite happy where I am at the moment. So I encourage people to think bigger and ask more.
Yeah, I think what you're saying is don't be afraid to speak up and don't be afraid to take risks in a sense, personal risks in terms of, yeah, I want to start my own business. That probably means I have to leave my current job and start completely from scratch, as they say.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So I'm happy that I took that risk.
Great. Well, thank you for giving us those insights and recommendations. I hope they'll be valuable to our listeners. I wanted to thank you very much for coming on our show and speaking about Asian brokers, the Asian marketplace, the services that New Direction Solution provides. And thank you for sharing your personal experience in terms of where you came from, where you are today, and what you've achieved so far. So I wanted to thank you very much, and I hope that we can meet sometime, continue our discussion.
That'd be great. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Opal. Have a great day. Thanks for listening to our latest Finance Feeds podcast episode. For sponsorship opportunities or to become a guest, please email us at info@financefeeds.com.